Dale's Daily Devo. All right. Matthew chapter 15. Jesus called the crowd to him. He said, "Listen and understand. What goes into someone's mouth does not make them unclean. It what come out of their mouth that makes them unclean." Then the disciples came to him. They asked, "Do you know that the Pharisees were angry when they heard this?" So, this is Jesus' little teaching after the Pharisees came up and was questioning why his disciples didn't follow some of the laws and the rules. And Jesus said, "Why don't you follow God's command?" And they were basically, talking about, ritual washing and washing of the hands and washing things. And Jesus' basic reply was, it's not whether you are eating with washed hands or unwashed hands, that when you put something in your mouth, that's not what's going to make you unclean. What signifies that we are unclean is what comes out of our mouth, because what comes out of our mouth comes from our heart. And if evil and uncleanness and unrighteousness is in our heart, and that's what we speak out of, and that's where we speak from, that is what's showing that we are unclean. Not how I eat, what I eat. Did I wash my hands? Did I not wash my hands? No, that's not making me unclean. And it's so funny that his disciple says, "Do you realize the Pharisees were upset about that?" Well, yeah, of course he realized the Pharisees were upset. He was calling them out. He was calling out their whole tradition, because washing and cleaning was a major part of their traditions. And he's basically saying, you have established your traditions and put them above the command of God. And yeah, so he was definitely calling them out. So when I look at my life, how does this fit into my life? Am I doing things because that's the correct religious thing to do? Am I doing things because that's the accepted practice of the society and the culture around me? Am I doing the things that I feel pressed to do because of possibly peer pressure or pressure of the society? Again, in the politics and the things that we're in, or am I putting God's command above all those things? Am I seeking first the kingdom of God before I'm worried about fulfilling all these other things? Is what's inside of me pure and righteous? And a lot of that has to do with what I put in me. Okay. We talk about bearing fruit. And that fruit can only be good if what's in me is good and righteous. If I have what's in me is bad and evil, then I'm going to bear bad fruit. So therefore, only good can come from the good tree. So is your tree good? And how do we get a good tree? It comes from the seed that you plant. It comes from what you use to help fertilize and produce that seed, so that seed can grow into a tree and therefore produce fruit. So again, what am I putting in my body? What am I feeding? Am I feeding the things of this world, or am I feeding myself spiritually? Reading the Word is one of the ways we feed ourselves spiritually. Meditating and spending time in the presence of God helps feed us spiritually. Um, Acknowledging the fact that God is always present, He's always there, and He actively wants to be involved in my life, definitely, definitely feeds me spiritually. So, what comes out of me? Is it clean or is it unclean? Well, definitely in a process of making sure the unclean is being removed so that only clean can come out. So we're always in a process. We're always in a journey. We are always working on ourselves. But that's the key. If you're not working on yourself, then what are you doing? You know, and who are you feeding? The physical man or the spiritual man? Are you going to the gym? Well, what about the spiritual gym? Are you spiritually working out? Are you spiritually trying to get fit? Are you spiritually trying to build up and become mature? Because that's important too. Matter of fact, it's probably as important, maybe even more important than your physical body. But we strive to have balance. So let's do both. Let's do both. So I've rambled on enough. But remember, it is what comes out of us that makes us unclean. What is in your heart? Dale's Daily Devo. Check you out tomorrow.